last summer, just about July, I entered a whole new world. And how it happened was I decided, like I'm coming up to 75. I've got a bunch of other things happening. I run a little business here, a little business there. But I wanted some more structure in my life. I didn't want to be like people who retire, not that I could ever retire and they start drinking. I mean, I don't drink. What would I do? So I wanted to do something, have those, and it doesn't hurt to have a little more money, senior, fixed income, and all that kind of stuff. So I say, okay, I'm going to treat this as project management, what I'm going to do. And I decided that I need to do some kind of training. And, they say build on strengths. And so I decided I would take a course and become a certified teacher of English as a second language. Figured, I mean, surely as being an English speaker, this would be helpful. And I have taught many times for many years. So this is it. So I look around and I sign up at Immigrant Services Society, a wonderful organization, huge, and a nonprofit. And they have a whole learning and career college, big outfit. And I go and sign up, and you do have to demonstrate that you have finished some college, so I found the PhD diploma, and so I'd never even seen it before, but it was back there somewhere, and I photocopied that. They said, that's okay, it's okay, we accept that. And then, although you could forge them readily, let me tell you, friends. So I go there, and we have our classes, and this is like really serious. It was 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, plus homework for over 2 months, and then there's a practicum, right? I mean, they're not kidding around. They meet international standards and all that, So I go in the first class. There's just 9 of us in this cohort of people teaching English as a second language. Only one other person was what you'd call, I don't think you call us native speakers anymore, like an original English speakers. Rest of the people came from all over the world and had lived here a long time, a lot of them 5, 10, 12 years, because it wasn't one of their refugee services. So they were from all over, and then we were here. And each day of the week, we had a different topic. I mean, they repeated themselves. The first day was teaching methodology, and then there was pronunciation, grammar, reading and writing, and listening and speaking. I thought, well, should be okay. And then we had our first class in teaching methodology. This is really great. I've taught for years, many years. And I couldn't understand a word she was saying. I mean, it was so different. And you see how I'm looking, I'm not kidding. I would be sitting there like, what is this? And the central dilemma being it was called student-centered. It had to be student-centered. And they could even quantify it, like 90% is the students doing things and 10% you. And I thought, how are they going to learn anything? I'm surely here to tell them things. It was just such a shock. But and then there was reading and writing. I'm all right with that, the reading and writing. But they did want us to write little paragraphs using the target words for that level of student that they could then learn things from them. Simple, basic. I don't know, writing 4 and 5 sentences with target words on the colonial oppression of their home countries. I don't know. It didn't go over too well, and they did ask me to rewrite. They said maybe you're something a little more Canadian or something. I don't know. And then speaking and listening, this was a challenge because even though we don't all know each other well, I spend most of my time talking and not listening. And so I was thinking, you ever heard that Fran Lebowitz thing where she said, for most people, conversation is talking and listening? And she said, for me, it's like talking and waiting. And that's the way I am. See, so that one was a struggle, but it was structured up. But then came grammar. And the teacher, who was marvelous, had been a refugee many years ago from Sarajevo and had come through everything. And she's teaching this grammar class, and she said, and I quote, "As you all know, English has 12 tenses," end of quote. And I didn't want to let on because all those other people back in, in Malaysia and in Russia and in Brazil, they had studied that stuff backwards and forwards. You couldn't always understand what they said. But let me tell you, they knew that. I didn't want to let on. Once for 5 days in Augusta, Georgia in 5th grade, we studied that stuff. But that was really it. And all I knew was that tomorrow, like there's the future, I will. And there's the paths I did, and there's I am now, and that was it. And I was so stupid. I mean, it's not that often in life that I think anyone gets to feel stupid, but if you're as egotistical as I am, you don't know, you don't let on that you're stupid. And I was stupid day after day after day. It was horrible, and I almost quit, I said, no, Marylee, you can't, you can't. And then pronunciation, friends, pronunciation. You think, well, okay, I've got an accent, but everybody else did. Don't worry about that part. But we had to study how speech is produced. It is yucky. There's like all the positions of the jaw, and then like all the positions of the tongue, not only front, back, and center, that, but then up and down, and and then you had to do practices like you would with your students. We had these little mirrors, and you go, puh, 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 and there like a spit would form on there. And then, and furthermore, when we did exercises, because you then had to develop a lesson plan and then present this, and I've never in my life suffered from stage fright. And I've never felt self-conscious. Possibly I should have at times, but I haven't. But there, it was so terrible. Is that how people feel? Because you knew you were going to fail. You knew you were going to get there and be a total asshole, And furthermore, you were. And then, and the thing was, at the end, because it was a very supportive group, at the end of everyone's presentations, for which you were graded in many points, and they would all applaud. Well, in stand-up comedy, there's a thing called a pity laugh, when you're really not good at it. I got pity applause. Every single time you'd hear this, like, they had to applaud, but they knew I'd screwed up. But anyway, I did get through all that, but I began also, of course, to know the people and to hear the woman who'd come over from the Middle East with a civil engineering degree and had not been able to work since then. And then the family problems, and then some health problems, and then what do you do? Or the person who had come over from Eastern Europe, come here with a tremendous degree from some Russian university, and here was working sort of as a handyman in an apartment building, and the phone would ring, and he'd have to leave class, and I would watch him be absolutely mortified to sit there saying, I am going to so-and-so, and incapable of actually being student-centered, because if you've been well-educated in Russia, you don't think anybody has anything else to say to you. This is just a cultural generalization on my part. And but anyway, you would listen to that, and the very, very uneasy fellow from South America, who was gay clearly, and I thought, hey, we'll relate to each other. I'm gay, he's gay. And he was very standoffish. It wasn't my personality, friends, I'm sure of that. But he was so closeted in his way, but then you would want to be more and more closeted in Brazil these days. So I went through that, and again, I learned more about the people, more about, of course, how to do things, develop skills, learn more about myself. I've been sort of mentally laundered, to think differently about the world. And now, whenever I'm out there in the world, it's so great it's Vancouver, because I sit there on transit and I listen to people from other places, right? Or even if they've been here forever, and I'm thinking, okay, how are they saying that R? And they must be from Mexico. They're having trouble with the B and the V. And then if they just go, it's all I can do to not go over to them and say, your lips go together and you breathe this way, and then And so everywhere I go, there's this world, and I feel I'm a part of it, and I thank you for sharing it with me tonight.